This is insane right now. I am in a massive turret on some crater. There's a giant blood moon right here. Just blasting away. This is insane. Okay. Whoa.
Pretty amazing.
Back to reality.
Pretty amazing shit.
Okay. So I'm here with Matisse Tolan of Lithic Entertainment.
Lithic VR Entertainment.
Lithic VR Entertainment. And what do you do, Matisse? What is your
This is my phone, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that is the Samsung Gear VR. That is, you get a headset, you get a phone. My mind is blown by how good some of these games look from a phone.
And the thing is like, it's not that the game is designed well. The game was probably designed in Unity, which is a pretty basic game creation program, but the fact that it's surrounding you and you're immersed in it is what's amazing. It's not the graphics necessarily.
Yeah, the graphics are okay. It's a simple sitting in a turret, shooting things that come at you, things that fly in.
Tower defense game, but the fact that you're now in that world as opposed to like playing it like far away from the game, you're in the game. That's what makes the huge difference. Yeah.
So where do you see VR right now? With games, with movies, with tech, where are we this moment?
So right now, to be honest, everybody's kind of running around with their heads cut off because this is happening super fast. Yeah. It's exploding.
I feel like it has exploded. Like it's been there. When Oculus first came out, it was kind of this niche thing. It was kind of, oh, that's cool, VR, wow. But it seemed so far off. And I feel almost like overnight, everyone has said, no, it's here, it's here.
Yeah, the first big thing that happened was when Facebook spent $2 billion on buying Oculus. And that injection of money really allowed Oculus to then start developing a lot of things that they wanted to. So now, in the depths of the Oculus offices in Irvine, there are tons of smaller companies that they've ingested that are working on things like haptic feedback, with hands and gloves and just like crazy things in VR, because VR is such a big, wide world that's quickly becoming real for everybody. So right now there are two things really going on. One is games, and it's a hardware bloodbath right now. It's a hardware and a software bloodbath. There are multiple headsets that are competing. There are different camera systems that are coming out, and everybody's kind of saying, "Look at us! We came out with something new and cool," and other people are like, "Ours is better." So, I mean, it's similar to system wars that in the beginning. Some companies fizzled out, and others remained, and those top companies that remained did so. Sometimes because the content was better, sometimes because the hardware or whatever was better, and we're really seeing these hardware companies kind of battle it out right now.
Yeah, what I noticed was with this, especially with the Samsung Gear, is just how mobile it is. You can and I remember going to the Oculus event and being tethered in, and just that tether.
Look at all these wires. I mean, these wires are a pain in the ass.
So exactly. I can remember standing in the room, and you're going through all these different demonstrations, and I remember wanting to walk around, but then I was tethered, and it pulled me, and it just broke the reality. Having this, just being able to kind of walk around, and do it.
The mobility. I bought a Samsung Note 4 phone, and I went to Best Buy, and I got this Gear VR for $200. Not super expensive, the phone's kind of expensive, but it's a phone and it's an awesome phone. Yeah. And I was on iPhone and I switched over to this and I've had no problems, but the mobility is truly amazing. Right now in VR, it's short demonstrations. Like you put this on, you're like, oh, this is really cool. Here, you try this out. Yeah. And you take it off and you put it on somebody else. And it is something that goes on your head. But the amazing thing about this is that this together senses when it's on somebody's head, and then when it's off, and then when it's on somebody's somebody else's head, and it could quickly turn on and off for those people. It's completely wireless. I use it with Bluetooth headphones. Yeah. No wires whatsoever.
So, like you were saying about haptic feedback and using mechanical arm apparatuses. Bringing it back to games, like in the beginning, you were saying, these are just simple demonstration style games. Simple tower defense. Do you think we are at a point where we can have fully Half-Life level style VR games, or do you think we're going to need to take that next step of being able to have some kind of hand control in the game? Because that's another thing. There's the tether that broke my immersion, and not being able to kind of see your hands. I know Morpheus is really cool because you can use the Move controllers, and there was a demonstration where you can physically grab swords and axes off of a rack, and just being able to see a hand and actually being able to interact.
Yeah.
How far away is that? Do you think that's
happening right now? Yeah. So creating, I guess, avatar hands of your hands in the virtual world is something a lot of people are spending time on. There's two companies, Leap Motion and Nimble, have similar products, and you can actually buy Leap Motions right now. It's a gear that goes on the front of this, and then can sense. It's a camera that senses where your hands are. The Nimble is similar. The new edition of the Morpheus, which I just tried out 2 weeks ago at VRLA 5, has a camera that can sense where the controller is, so you can move the controller like this.
How does Morpheus stack up compared to Oculus and Samsung at this point?
I think the really strong thing about Morpheus is PlayStation always has the best content. So you're going to plug your Morpheus into your PlayStation, which is going to be connected to the PlayStation Store, and that's already up and running.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to just download games
it's gonna
like
be
that.
So easy, and so I think that's what the niche they're really going to corner. The Morpheus itself is in a new incarnation from the last time we tried it at the PlayStation event in Vegas, but it now flips down, so it's not as cumbersome. And it's great. I tried out a simple demo. There was a first-person shooter demo that I unfortunately didn't get to try, but I did try another demo where you're playing with little robots, and it was amazing. Like you can the camera senses when you're moving around like this, so there is a little bit of movement. It's not like I'm walking around the environment. Which is something that they're going to have to solve because you can't walk out of your room. So, but the little movement that I could do, I was peeking into a miniature house, and these little robots were in each of the rooms in the house, doing like running on a treadmill or watching TV. It was so detailed, and you can look outside, and it was amazing. So I'm happy with the Morpheus, but again, I think the PlayStation Morpheus is going to benefit from the content and the licenses and the games that PlayStation already has and has in place. The Vive, which is HTC and Valve, is the newest HMD that's on the market that has been told to the public, and that has two controllers too. Yeah. And people have said that have tried it out said it's amazing, and the feedback, the input is great, and so Valve is probably going to have Half-Life 3
rumors
in,
about
in
that.
VR.
There's rumors about Doom 4 being in VR. It's the Wild
I'm
West.
sure Carmack is at Oculus. So really, I think we have to remember that the content is what matters here. No matter what the hardware is, they're going to be comparable pieces of hardware, So the content is what's going to matter.
And even these fun little games are good right now, but I feel like it's progressing so fast. We're going to get to the big stuff.
It's fast, so it takes time to create these great games that look magnificent. But guys right now are creating games, in Unity, in Unreal in their basement, and uploading it to places like Oculus Share and other websites, and everybody's getting to try them out. It's a bit disorganized now, though, because it's such an explosion.
It's fun.
It's crazy fun, but like people are just throwing out things right now and testing them out, and
seeing what sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Like I tried. I've downloaded a lot of demos for the Oculus. I plugged this Oculus actually into my Mac, and it still works fine, but PCs are recommended. But the DK2 is still very much a developer's kit, and it has some issues here and there. the gear, this is considered the Innovator Edition.
Yeah.
So this still isn't like the public edition, but anybody can buy this right now.
Yeah.
This is more, ready, and this still has issues, but this is more open architecture.
Nice.
And you can mess around with the DK2 and create anything you want. There are demos like Lava Incorporated, where you're on a roller coaster, but it was made, I believe, in Unity, and it's insane. And there are other really innovative demos coming out.
Tell me about Lithic really quick before we wrap up. Lithic Entertainment. So you're more focused with movies.
Yeah, so, we grew up together, and I've always been into movies, and you've been into video games, but this is kind of an insane time that's unprecedented, where they're mixing.
Yeah.
So the tech people from up north and the filmmakers from LA are kind of coming together and meeting at these VR events, and it's amazing. So Lithic is a company that I started, and it's a virtual reality production company, and we're focusing on live action.
Yeah.
So what that means is basically we are trying to create experiences that are the next level, the next version of movies. And
I think of a choose your own adventure novel. That's what I'm thinking of.
A lot of people think of choose your own adventure, and it might not be as it might be more simple than that.
Okay.
If take a step back and just think, okay, you watch a movie on a screen and you're not really in the scene. So people put a lot of work into the production design and the props and this and that, but you don't really notice all of it because it's not around you. Well, now with VR movies, VR cinema experiences, you're there. So every little detail matters, So we actually,
a cup on a desk now has
you're
become...
gonna notice the details on that cup.
Yeah.
And you're gonna feel the presence of the characters so much more. So just think of it as kind of like the next step of feeling like you're in a movie. And so we can start to mess around with things like interactivity and programming events. We can actually, using programs like Unity, after filming live action scenes, if using head tracking, the computer knows when you're looking at a certain door or a certain object, and then using that hotspot, you can move into that room, towards that door or towards the object, and we can start to play around with that. But everybody's experimenting right now. The ecosystem is still very much in its very beginning phases.
Interactive movies, Lithic Entertainment.
Interactive movies, they're coming.
Tolan.
They're coming one day. But again, I want to stress, you have to care about the characters, just like any good gamer, any good movie.
It's all about the writing.
It's all about the writing, the story. Why did I like Half-Life? Because I was a scientist. It was cool to be Gordon Freeman. So, Lithic, what we're doing is really trying to find the stories and the filmmakers that have something to say, and we're not trying to make gimmicky products. We're not trying to create gimmicky content, because right now in the demo phase, everybody's like, oh, look, VR, but it's let's think the next step further. In a few years, it's just going to be good movies, and you're going to feel like you're kind of there and you're experiencing it, and it's not necessarily choose your own adventure. It's just feeling like you're there that much more.
Of it.
Yeah, so we're using camera arrays with over 10 cameras, so we can shoot 360. We're also shooting 3D at the same time. So it's 3D 360. It's live action, and we take those, we stitch them together. We do a little bit of work in post, and what you end up with is an experience that you can download onto your Note 4 or your Oculus. You put it in your HMD, and then you put it on, and you're there. And
just the ease of access, especially with VR gear here. Just being able to download it straight away and watch it. Pull out your phone, you're there.
Yeah,
it's just mind-blowing.
You got the Oculus Store, going back to games. You open the Oculus Store, and this is super simple. There it is. That's the game you just played. And now people are actually starting to charge for content. So, if you want to buy certain games, this game is $5. So people are now, the commerce is beginning in VR.
That's pretty crazy. Everything used to be free.
Yeah, just for games, now we're moving on beyond that. Experiences, which are more cinematic kind of things. These are all free right now, but soon I'm sure people are going to be charging. So we're in the age of digital distribution, and Netflix and Hulu have original shows and original movies now, and you're going to see the same thing come into VR, and there are going to be channels forming and apps forming in VR. that will be coming out with original content.
Outstanding. That's Matisse Toll and Lithic Entertainment. VR is the Wild West. Get hyped.
Our movie's called No Means Yes. It's dropping within the next couple months, so look out for it. No Means Yes.
Boom.